How do you follow up Luka's act from opening night? All he did was score 43 points, grab 12 boards, and 9 assists. Austin Reeves went for 26, 5, and 9. The opening night loss to the Warriors. We'll hear from AR before tonight's game as the Lakers welcome Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves to town. It's a playoff rematch from Crypto.com Arena coming up in 1 hour. Hello and welcome to Access Sportsnet Lakers, brought to you by Mercury Insurance. I'm Chris McGee alongside Big Game James Worthy, Mike Bresnahan. We also have some great guests with us here tonight.
Yes, we do.
And it is game number 2, Big Game James.
80 left.
Don't panic, everybody.
The countdown has begun?
Yeah.
80 left. Yeah, we're counting down.
It's been a lot of fun so far,
fast.
though, this season. NBA has been absolutely on fire. We'll get to that in a little bit. Game 2 of 82 tonight versus the Minnesota Timberwolves as we take a look at some notable numbers from the season opener in the opening round playoff series versus the T-Wolves. The Lakers just 61% from the free throw line. You are not seeing that incorrectly. They missed 11, 20 turnovers, lost to the Timberwolves in the first round of the 2024 playoffs in 5. Lakers 100 points per game versus the T-Wolves in the playoffs. Lakers and T-Wolves about to tip things off at 7. Now for more, let's check in with Mike Trudell joining us from Crypto.com Arena. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's happening, guys? Welcome to downtown Los Angeles. Now, one thing, Geeter, we do know, Jaxson Hayes isn't going to play today. So a little bit of a shortened big man rotation. Christian Koloko is going to be active, but that means a lot for DeAndre Ayton, a lot on his plate. And so I started with J.J. Redick just thinking about the way the Wolves defend the screen roll. And last year, a lot of what they did was take Jaxson Hayes out of the full roll by rotating somebody on the baseline. Well, how does that work with DeAndre Ayton, who can sometimes catch in the middle of the paint and do some damage there? Is that going to be something they can go to tonight? So here's the head coach on that and a couple other things moments ago.
They ran a lot of reds in that, early in that series. So that was, with Luka's pick and rolls. So there wasn't an opportunity as much to roll versus coverage later in the series. We got some good stuff when they blitzed in games 4 and 5. I know game 5 we ran a ton of stack and they blitzed. So I think we run our stuff and we see how they're guarding it, and then we make adjustments from there.
They have pretty much the same team, right? Maybe more minutes for Terrence Shannon Jr. with Nickeil Alexander-Walker being out. What is the most difficult thing to play against them, and where do you kind of see what's the most important thing you learned in that series about, and how that would translate to tonight's game?
Well, I think it starts with I'm stealing Jay Kidd's line here, but it really does start with good offense. We got to take care of the basketball. We got to be organized. That allows us to go back and set our defense, and we need to have a set defense against them. They don't, based on last year, they don't get a ton of transition opportunities, but when they do, they're really good. And, against the Warriors, you're worried about the lasers in transition. Against them, you're worried about everything. Terrence Shannon is dynamic in transition. Obviously, Anthony Edwards, McDaniels, Reed, all those guys pushing the basketball, and then they have a bunch of lasers on the floor, so you got to locate them.
What have your conversations with DeAndre been like about physicality? I know that's been a thing that's been kind of talked about with him a lot in his career. Obviously, he's very skilled, but to get him to do kind of the, run hard and bump into people type stuff, what have your conversations been like on that part of his game?
He's been really good. For the last 2 weeks, he had 2 great days of practice. Thought yesterday was his best day in our scrimmage of pick and roll coverage. I think the habit portion for our bigs, I noticed this last year, there was probably a 4 or 5 year stretch where every big just ran to the top of the key, and then they ran back to the top of the key, and then they ran back to the top of the key, and they, it's really because everybody went to 5-out delay for like 5 years, and that's all anybody played, and so they've been programmed to do that. So we've got to break that habit with all our bigs and get him to put some pressure on the rim. And when he's done that, when Jackson's done that, it's been really good.
All right, guys, there's J.J. Redick, Geeter, and you heard that's going to be some of the plan, and obviously how the Lakers handle that screen roll and what they're able to get from DeAndre Ayton going to be significant. And then we'll see how Gabe Vincent does a second straight game in the starting lineup against one of the bigger and more physical and athletic teams in Minnesota. So Lakers have their work cut out for them, but they're certainly capable.
All right, thanks, Mike. Appreciate that, and go catch up with Austin Reeves when you can there. All right, Mike Trudell looking to bounce back tonight, the Lakers. Tough matchup with Minnesota, and James, I know there's probably a lot of ways you can answer this question, but when I ask you, what do you want to see tonight from this Laker team that's different from the other night?
Look, it's only been one game, but there are certain things that you're looking for. And in game one, the amount of turnovers that took place in the first quarter was just, unacceptable. Poor execution. They're going to have to figure out how to handle that blitz. They were blitzing Luka a lot, all the guards, and the defense was attacking ours. They can't come out in the third quarter either. They escaped the first half, by not playing as well as they could with all the turnovers. Didn't get to the free throw line, and when they did, they missed a ton of free throws. It's just there's little things you have to take care of. But that third quarter, according to JJ, was just something that can't happen again. They got to come out with a fresh mind and not turn the ball over and, attack a little bit more. They were sitting back, and it looks like the Warriors were the one that were initiating the energy and force on defense, and they just didn't attack, especially with that blitz that they were putting on Reeves and Luka. So they got to come out with a different attitude tonight.
Yeah, James, you could tell in J.J. Redick's post-game press comments, he was upset, especially about that third quarter output. Lakers, nice little run to end the second quarter, and then to start the third quarter, and really the entire third quarter, they just went away. That's where the game was won and lost right after halftime, and you can't do that tonight. And there was also so many self-inflicted wounds that the Lakers suffered the other night. They shot, 25% from three-point range. They made only 8 all night, James. That's a little low in today's NBA. And as you alluded to, 61% from the free throw line. That's too many points that the Lakers left out on the court the other night between the missed threes, the missed free throws, and all the turnovers, especially in that first half. That really damaged their chances of winning at home the other night.
All right, guys, let's take a positive out of night number one, and that's Luka Doncic. He did not disappoint as we show you the numbers. He went for 43. That's the third highest scoring output on opening night in Laker history. He averaged over 30 in the playoff loss to Minnesota a year ago. And all the talk, big game, James, about how Luka looked and how he was right in his mind and in his body, he showed out in game number one. By the way, if you want to just take twos, he was 15 of 17. He was 2 for 10 from 3. He was 15 of 17.
That's like Shaq numbers right there. That's crazy.
I mean, he is probably, Jokic gets in that mode sometime where he's just absolutely unstoppable. And Luka is one of those players, when he's making shots, his ability to, fend off the defender with the bump in his body and then stepping back with those shots and then just pulling up from 3. And you have to remember, he's a great rebounder as well, so he's good at getting the rebound and starting to break, making good decisions. So we know Luka can do this. One thing he might want to take a look at is getting players involved early. Sometimes he has the ball for a long time. We talked about the defensive, pressure they were putting on those guards. He can get his anytime. He's got to make sure that, like, Rui's involved, that Gabe or whoever's in there gets some touches and get some feels, because we know when we need Luka, he can deliver.
I would say, James, the revenge tour was off to a really good start for him. He looked